bad movies, bad life advice, and even worse life decisions. We cover it all here on the Life with Kenny podcast. I'm your host, Kenny. Grab a beer, sit back, and relax for this week's episode, because things are about to get weird.
What's an all-American girl like you doing with a geek like this?
Forgiveness is divine, but never pay full price for late pizza.
Fuck me gently with a chainsaw.
Jimmy was off the hook. I know you really don't listen to Slipknot.
Does your Rhino?
You are listening to a Life with Kenny podcast.
Not quite my tempo. It's all good. No worries. Here we go.
Hey, welcome to this week's episode of Movie Night, the podcast series where we discuss the best and worst movies in cinema history. This week I'm joined by my regular co-host Patrick.
Hi.
And Kyle.
Welcome back, Vince.
To discuss a listener movie pick from at Blonde Assassino on Instagram. I believe this is Kyle's sister-in-law, Alana. Am I right about that?
Could be.
Okay, well, if it's not, then it's somebody else. So thanks for that.
I think it's just a fan of Patrick's, to be honest.
Isn't everybody a fan of Patrick?
There's maybe 2.5 people that are fans of me.
That's
Half
not
a
true.
person.
You want to hear something that's like kind of sad? We had Easter this past weekend.
Oh, yeah.
And I had conversed with several family members who have listened to our podcast. Every single one of them said, I don't mean to hurt your feelings, but Patrick's the funniest one on the show. He's the only thing that makes that podcast listenable. So,
Yeah, but looks aren't everything. So.
Right?
so yeah, you've got a big fan base. So we're now announcing that we're changing the podcast to Life with Patrick.
I can make it feel better because your family likes me more than my family does. So there's that.
Yeah, well, your family likes me less than my family likes me as well. So
Your family
lose,
loves
lose.
me.
The movie we're watching this week is Midnight Meat Train from 2008, which we'll dive into a bit more in a little bit here. But before we watch and discuss that movie, we like to talk about what we've been watching and what movie trailers have caught our attention, / what movie trailers I've forced the guys to watch this week. And potentially movies that I want to see eventually. So, have you guys been watching anything this past week? I guess it's only been
I've not watched fucking
5 days.
anything.
Not a single thing in 5 days.
No, I've been watching The Office. That's it.
Well, there you go.
Oh, such a great
It's
watch.
just
I
can
just
put
watched
on.
the whole, like, saga. Is that what it would be called?
Series?
Series. Well, yeah. I like it. I like to call it a saga, too.
So the
Anyways,
question, though...
I watched that whole thing just, like, a couple months ago, finished it.
Fair.
It was great.
Yeah, man. I'm on my second or maybe third run through. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So I just have to clarify, just because you're from the UK, are you talking
The
about
US
the
office.
US office?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's way better in my opinion. It's much more easy to watch.
I agree, but I've heard a lot of other people get upset with that when they...
Well, they're not British.
but-
Fuck them.
Yeah. Kyle, what about you? What have you been watching? It seems like you've been doing a lot of like somewhat research for Life Legends episodes that we have not recorded.
Yeah. I haven't watched a whole lot since we last recorded. One thing
Apologies, that was my drink that I was trying to stealth sip, but at the same time made an incredibly unnecessary amount of noise. Apologies, Carl. Carry on.
You're all right, buddy.
One thing I did watch was because it was on Netflix and I hadn't seen it and looked kind of funny, was that Happy Time Murders.
Oh yeah,
The puppet one.
Oh, I heard real bad stuff about that.
I actually watched that a couple weeks ago.
It wasn't great. There was some funny parts in it.
I thought, compared to what critics and other people have been saying about it, I think it's a way better movie than people are giving it credit for.
Really?
Yeah,
Personally.
the funniest part to me about the whole movie is when the puppets get murdered, they always, like, it's like it was an actual person, the way people react and everything. It's actually pretty funny every time.
And it's straight up a comedic murder mystery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the fact that it has puppets, it reminds me of like Crank Yankers. Do you remember that old puppet prank call show?
I do not.
No. So I don't know. It just reminds me of that a little bit. It's just like an adult puppet show, but it's
It's
Yeah,
on Netflix. It's worth.
It's worth a watch if it's
yeah.
a Netflix thing. I wouldn't have went to see it in theaters, maybe, but
What's the lady's name? What's the main character's name?
What's that?
Is it Melissa McCarthy?
Yes,
that's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's actually pretty hot
Yeah,
in a weird way. Yeah.
interesting.
I wouldn't have got that impression from you, but
Yeah, man.
How do you feel about Amy Schumer?
Nah.
Yeah, no, I definitely would say if you're looking for something to watch, maybe throw that one on though. It's something you'll get a good couple laughs out of, even if you just have it on the background or whatever. It's a good watch.
Yeah.
You got anything else that you've watched, Kyle?
I think that's probably it. Honestly, like I watched a couple more episodes of Oak Island. Season finale comes out at the end of this month.
Are they ramping up for anything crazy since our last check-in?
No,
They didn't find any treasures.
they're just doing more explosives and stuff on the island to get sonar and shit like that.
So they still haven't found anything.
Man, there's like every episode it's like someone new comes with a new theory, and like there's so many theories going on lately. I think they're getting fucking confused on where they should look next.
After a while,
Like 7 seasons.
It's going to get untrackable, like the amount of shit people have said.
It already, like, man,
Because
this
from what I understand, we're looking for a pirate alien.
yeah, it's like over like 200 years old treasure like buried that they're looking for. They've recently found like wood structures and stuff that they've had tested actually at the U of S in Saskatoon, and they came back that the trees that were used for these were from like the 1769 to 1770. So
It's
How do
been
they
a
know?
while.
pretty
How do they
fucking
know
old.
how old a tree is?
By the
That's-
rings and stuff in the trees,
I don't know if that's true.
well, this like they do.
I've always known that as a fact, but I'm always a bit skeptical.
There's,
how do you fucking know? Can you tell how old I am if you cut my arm off?
So what they did.
Probably by your fingerprints.
Trees
so
aren't onions, are
Okay,
they?
so what they did though is there's a tree standing that's.
Onions are trees, though.
What the fuck are you talking about? No, they're not. All right. They did like a testing. They compared these red. I think they said they're red oak. They compared them to a tree that's still standing. That's over 500 years old. That's a red oak tree, and the rings they grow very similar throughout every year, and so they could track it back to when those trees were cut down was in 1770s.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's their
kinda-
job to do
But,
track this shit.
Do
so.
you think it may have gotten to the point where they've invested so much time in it now that all of them believe that there literally has to be something on that island, because otherwise the past 10 years
You know
have been
what?
a complete waste?
No, lots of them are ready to give
They're
up.
making money on the TV show too.
But
so
if you watch the show, the stuff that they find, like hundreds of feet underground, it's not natural stuff. Like when you're finding human bones hundreds of feet underground, like I mean, you wouldn't find that lower than 6 feet, maybe 7 feet.
It depends how far you bury them.
Well,
I usually go for a solid 15 personally.
see, for me, there's
but bones from back, like those people were like data tested to be dead like over 150 years ago, so you're not fucking digging that with a shovel.
yeah.
Fair. That's old.
For
That's
me,
a lot of manpower to bury someone. Like you have hundreds of guys fucking digging that hole.
I mean,
Like, you know what I mean? There's a lot of weird shit that is just like
Or-
it wouldn't.
maybe in the 1700s there was also a TV show doing the same thing, but because of the various diseases that were incurable, a lot of them just died. So while they were digging for treasure,
See?
they just
A new
put
theory every day.
various members of the crew into the holes they were digging and thought, "No, there's nothing in there apart from
Yeah.
Clive."
or maybe Clive was just digging a well. And
There-
he just fucking
Yeah.
died in the well.
There is a YouTube channel that does like summaries of seasons for Oak Island. If
Fair.
you're interested,
I
it's
am
cool
interested.
to check out.
But yeah, I'd probably watch the summary rather than the other stuff because what I hate about American or like even Canadian shows, is like after an advert break, the first like minute and a half of
Is
the
just
show,
a recap of what you
it's like,
saw right before.
I'm watching this on Netflix.
Yeah, it
I
happens.
don't have Alzheimer's.
Yeah, there's actually a podcast that I listened to a couple episodes about Oak Island, and it's called Could It Be? And all that podcast is a summary of every episode, but they also, it's just a couple, I think, and they make fun of the TV show and how they do it, because it's always like they'll be like, they'll find a new discovery, and then that like a voice will come on and be like, could it be really that the da 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 da, and like, yeah,
do they do the
fucking
thing
funny.
right where so there's three people round a hole and they're all digging, they're like, oh my fucking god,
Oh, yeah.
and then they cut to other people on the other side of the island digging before they reveal what the other people found.
No, I found a rock that was used once as a
Like
as a
Not
fucking-
usually that, but they'll put those parts in right before the commercial.
Oh, of course
the
they do.
suspense.
Yeah, can't do that. Don't enjoy that. Just fucking show me.
like there was like the one, just like last episode, the one guy was digging and he was freaking out, and you could tell he was genuinely thought he found
Nailed it.
a fucking piece of gold.
A piece of gold. What was it?
Like a gold coin, and
Just
he was
some cheese.
freaking out. And then he you can see the disappointment on his face, and he lifts it up, and he's like, "It's a Canadian loonie." But he was like losing his shit.
Oh, I'd have been livid as well. Not
Yeah.
even a toonie. That's
Yeah, it was pretty
brutal.
good. It was pretty good to watch, though.
Poor guy.
Yeah. But yeah, I watched that.
I was gonna say something like that is like I don't understand the connection with that, because it's them digging on an island and they're not finding things that are like blowing my mind. What I would like to see is they actually recently, I think in the 80s, they actually found the actual location of Atlantis, like not actual Atlantis, but the city that was rumored to be what it was based on, and it's an underwater city that got washed out by like a bunch of tsunamis and stuff. And right now they're mapping out, they have scuba divers and stuff mapping out where the center of the town is, and they're just brushing off the top to find the tops of buildings and stuff as far as they can go to kind of map out how big and wide the city is before they can get resources to come in and just excavate it all. But apparently it's like miles and miles wide. Like they already have it's like rough perimeter, and they're basically just following a main road from different areas. They're just following the roads and finding out how long this place is.
Fair.
So if they had a TV show where they were actually uncovering all this and showing footage of these scuba divers like brushing off
They
all the
probably
underwater
will.
stuff, I think that would be really cool to
There's,
see. But like Oak Island, where they're just digging about rumored treasure, it's
Yeah.
like,
well, it's that, and it's just a bunch of Canadians, isn't it? Ooh,
actually it's mostly Americans coming
Oh.
down to do it.
is that worse?
No, I think they are. I think they're Canadians.
I'm pretty sure it's from all over the world.
Well, I know
Isn't
there
that what you
was
said?
there was one guy that like is the people that do the digging and stuff on the island. It's like they've bought in the property and then sold it when they've either died or given up. And they've like this. There's been people looking for this treasure, buying parts of the island, searching blah 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 for over 200 years. And the people that have it now are the people doing the show. The two brothers own 50%. I researched this. And then another guy who just a couple weeks ago actually passed away owned the other 50%. So I'm not sure how that's going to change. But the guy who owned the 50% that passed away, I believe it's his son, is part of the team. For
Would you rather
the show.
own 50% of the garbage or 100% of the garbage?
Well,
Because
I can-
100% garbage is a lot of garbage.
I can tell you that guy has probably made his investment back, the one that passed away, just from the stuff.
But he's dead
the stuff
now.
they found. Yeah, but he doesn't have debt because of it.
Yeah, but he's dead.
Yeah, now he's dead.
Took him a while.
Well, he didn't die. He gave up searching a long time ago. He just kept his share.
Oh,
He was
fair.
too old to do it. I think he was 90.
But like when did
92?
he make back his investment? Because if I was going to do something like that, I'd ideally make back my investment before I started shitting my own pants uncontrollably.
Yeah, I'm not sure on that.
Fair.
But yeah, we'll.
It's interesting though. I think.
Yeah,
So,
no doubt.
can't-
You've been watching it from like the get go, right? So
no, I've
It's like
actually
7
only been
seasons,
watching
isn't
it the
it?
past
but
2 seasons.
you've seen a lot of it.
Yeah.
So I get why you're invested. I'd be invested in it as well if I'd seen as much.
I watch it every week just because now I want to keep track of what's happening.
If something crazy happens, you don't want to miss it, right?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I mean, it might be another
I guess that's
2 seasons.
that's the clever thing with those TV shows because once you get hooked on it,
Yeah.
they just bait people back because
the most intriguing thing to me is the amount of money that these guys put into equipment and stuff on this island just for the little things that they find that still have changed history already, but I do believe there's something there. It's just, or was something there. It might already be fucking taken and then not, documented.
just a bunch of Lithuanian guys going, haha, they're wasting their time.
Yeah. Well, no. Well, the biggest thing is there's ties to like the Freemasons and the Templar Knights and stuff like that. I'm thinking maybe they took that shit from the island already, and I mean that's all secretive, so they're just letting.
I
these
worked
people
with a
still go.
Freemason,
I have a friend who's a Freemason.
but he was also a member of UKIP, which is probably one of the biggest reasons Brexit happened.
UKIP, isn't that? Isn't
It's the
isn't kipping like when you're gonna puke? Isn't that your slang term?
UK Independence Party. Yeah, it's fucking just a bunch of gammon-faced morons.
Right.
Yeah, go on. What we
I'm going to interject real quick and say, if you're interested in the Atlantis thing I brought up, I learned about it from Stuff You Should Know podcast that was on March 15th. It's just called Was Atlantis a Real Place? It's like 30 minutes. It's a really interesting listen. I might actually dig into that one and bring that to you guys sometime for a Life Legends episode and
sounds good.
Dive into that a bit. But yeah, I'll just run through what I watched real quick and then we can talk about these trailers. I started showing Kyle one of the shows I started watching. It's called Lunatics, and it's starring, written and directed and whatever, created by Chris Lilly, who is an Australian treasure. He's basically Australia's Mike Myers. Like he does all sorts of characters, but he's amazing at them. I've only seen one episode so far. It's fairly entertaining. The humor is not for everyone though. I also watched Captain Marvel yesterday. I don't know if either of you guys have.
No.
I guess Patrick doesn't like superhero movies.
Is that the woman?
Yeah.
I don't fucking care about the Avengers. I'll probably get stabbed on my way home because of that. I just couldn't
no,
care
like
less.
Captain Marvel was definitely its own thing because it's set in the 90s, I guess. It's kind of a prequel to all the Avengers movies, but it was definitely like nice to see a female-led movie that had a lot of heart to it and like took a different. It felt similar, but it was different enough from all the other Avengers movies that it felt like a fresh take. Because like if you see too much like intergalactic space stuff and it all feels the same, you get fatigue. It's like watching every Fast and the Furious movie. But if you switch it up like one of our trailers does, then I'm sure it'll be a refreshing take. But yeah, I've also been watching Nathan For You. Have you guys seen that show?
A while, like a couple of years ago, I saw.
Do you know of that show, Patrick?
No clue.
This guy's a genius. He's a business grad student from Canada who moved to the States, and he did like a bunch of.
Is that the fake Starbucks guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he did a bunch of stuff to try and help businesses reboot, but he does it in like a Borat style way where he's just like super deadpan humor. And he does things that are just crazy. Like, for example, this one guy has a coffee shop. It's like a trendy hipster coffee shop, but nobody's going to it. So Nathan's idea is using parody law, we'll brand your business as a Starbucks, but we'll call it Dumb Starbucks, and everything will be dumb in front of it, but it has to be big enough. Like, he talks to a lawyer about it and everything. They get it all done. And they have it open up as a Dumb Starbucks, and they actually sell stuff for like a week. And then he gets in trouble because he didn't have any like health code stuff approved. But the way he faced that was he said it was an art exhibit. It wasn't an actual restaurant. And he like worked around. He knows workarounds with this stuff. But he does like crazy things. Like one of the episodes I saw was a woman had a ranch where people could come and rent horses to ride. And they wanted to expand their audience because they have requests from a lot of heavier people that are interested in it but can't. So Nathan comes up with this idea to blow up a shit ton of giant helium balloons and then like strap them onto the fat people so it lightens them up so they can actually ride horses.
Incredible.
He also did one of the episodes I saw. Best Buy has a price match guarantee. So this guy has a struggling TV business. So what they did is they printed off flyers for this guy's TV business for a $1 Samsung TV that's regular $1,500. He actually has the TVs in stock, but they're behind. There's a dress code where you have to come in a tuxedo. You have to wear a tie. You have to be dressed a certain way, certain shoes, whatever. After you get past the dress code, the only way to get to the TVs is through a door that's like toddler size. You have to crawl through. And then once you get through there, you have to open another door. And in the middle of the room is an alligator that doesn't have its mouth taped or anything. It's just an alligator. And you have to get past the alligator to get to the TV. And then once you get the TV, you can take it and leave and get it for $1, right? That's like the way he does it. So this guy's actually selling it for $1. While they're doing that, Nathan takes the flyers with 20 people that he hires off Craigslist who also have the flyers. They all go to Best Buy at once and they try to price match these TVs for $1 so that they'd buy that stock and bring it to the other guy's business. But yeah, Best Buy wouldn't do it. And he's like, that's sketchy. They have a guarantee. And then so what he does is he tries to do a legal workaround where he goes on Craigslist and he fakes a dating show for like store employees to date. It's a reality show that they're starting. And he finds like an alt girl who used to work at Best Buy and he goes on like a fake date with her. But he used to be a worker at Hot Topic, is what he says. Oh, yeah. So he shows up. He's got a black swoop hair, a fake lip ring. He's got eyeliner on, and he's like, "So, Best Buy, they don't really honor their guarantees, huh?" And she's like, "This is a weird topic for a first date." Like, it's fucking genius. Like, it's definitely a show I recommend people watch. It's if you like movies like Borat and stuff, it's a TV series that's along those lines. But it's just a fun time. But yeah, that's pretty much all I've been watching. I haven't gotten to any movies and stuff. So, but let's talk about these movie trailers real quick, and then we'll go watch Midnight Meat Train. The first one we watched is the new movie in the Fast and the Furious franchise, Hobbs and Shaw.
Garbage.
How do you guys feel about this?
It's fucking stupid.
You guys don't want to see this movie?
I'd probably want to see it, yeah, but like, fucking stop making this
It's
shit.
everything that I hated about the Fast and the Furious.
What did you hate about them?
Wow. When The Rock came in it mostly. Because I like The Rock, but not in this movie.
I'm going to pitch something to you guys,
Too
and I
much
know you're going to
action
shoot it
shit.
down right now. I think we should make our way through the Fast and the Furious franchise.
No,
I don't think I could, man.
no. I don't think I could and do a podcast on every episode.
Yeah.
No,
I think-
3 movies at a time. We'll do mini marathons.
No, I would shoot myself after the first 10 minutes.
Really?
Yeah.
Like, I like Fast and the Furious, but only the first 3.
Because I was thinking if we did 1 through 3, then we did 4 through 6, and then we do 7, 8, and then Hobbs and Shaw.
So I would rather be drowned to near death than do that.
Okay, well, if anybody out there is listening and they want to do episodes on the Fast and the Furious, let me know. Because I saw that trailer.
We can pretend we watched them all.
And I saw that trailer, and that's literally everything I want in like a fucking batshit crazy action movie.
Yeah,
That's
that's
right up my
what
alley.
it is, and I don't like those.
Yeah, but I feel like everything you saw in that trailer was probably like the big things that actually happened.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's an alternate thing. How do you guys feel about watching the Expendables movies?
Would probably rather... what would I rather? I'd probably rather take a pencil to the leg.
Okay. We can
Yeah.
arrange that.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you'll watch it with me.
No, if you want to do that instead of making me watch the Expender shits, then we can totally do that on the podcast.
Okay, well,
Why don't we just watch Need for Speed? That's like the better movie of them all.
okay, well, let's just say that we aren't watching any of those movies. Then I'll watch them on my own. I
But
guess.
you listeners, you go ahead and watch them.
Okay, so the second trailer we watched came out today. It's the final trailer for Godzilla King of the Monsters. Have you guys seen Kong Skull Island?
No.
Yes.
How did you feel about that movie?
I wish they'd have shown more big creatures, and I also thought like the main creatures looked fucking stupid.
Like the skull crawlers?
Yeah, they looked fucking silly.
Yeah,
They were just tadpoles with legs.
pretty much.
That's it. They were just big tadpoles.
That movie, though, you can't argue is not a fun. Like, it's a fun movie.
It was a fun watch, yeah. But then it got so predictable at the end, and I don't know.
It's just like when we went and saw Rampage, though.
I thought Rampage was better.
Really?
Yeah.
Than Kong Skull Island.
I like the
Interesting.
Kong games on like My Vegas.
On what?
My Vegas slots. Like the Kong games are good.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm interested in this movie because I really liked Kong Skull Island, and this movie is set modern day. Kong Skull Island is the same universe, but I think it was back in the 80s or 70s. It was around Vietnam War, I think, was when they did it. But I'm not super hugely knowledgeable about the Godzilla movie franchise as it is, but I'm definitely interested in seeing a bunch of monsters duke it out. I'm not going to lie. I don't know. How do you guys feel about that? Would that be something you might want to try and watch for the...
I'd probably watch it. I don't know why they needed the girl from Stranger Things in it, though. She's just quite annoying as an
And she
actress.
actually just looks like she was just on the set of Stranger Things and then fucking
Well, I
Godzilla
think-
showed up.
Because, well, I think Millie Bobby Brown is a phenomenal actress, especially for her age.
She
She's
is,
talented.
Yeah.
But for Stranger Things.
Right, but you don't want to get stuck in that niche. It would be like if they didn't let, what's his name from Stranger Things be in It.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
his character...
It was different. She looks like
he's
the
a
same character.
Way better actor.
But what was the difference in character? Like, there wasn't really any difference.
There was a big difference in character there, for sure.
Yeah.
Huge difference.
In Stranger Things, he's kind of like
super
the,
conservative.
Yeah, and then in the
Just an
It
absolute
movie, he's like
fucking
kind of an
savage.
asshole,
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so.
a little brat.
Yeah, well, that's one I want to see. So if listeners are interested in that, you can watch the final trailers out. I think it comes out in May. I'll
May
probably go check it
31st, I
out.
think.
I don't know if you guys are interested. We can maybe do it for the podcast, but it's probably one I'll end up going to see by myself.
I'm not
I
watching
did
the
think,
fucking old
like,
one though.
The animation itself didn't look as good as like the previous Godzilla.
Yeah, so this is kind of like a running theme with today's movies is the special effects were kind of shitty because
It's like
the
they
other
run out
trailer
of budget or something.
the other trailer that we watched was for a movie. It was released today for a movie called Gemini Man, starring Will Smith.
And Will Smith.
Will Smith.
Will Smith,
With Will
the
Smith.
assassin fighting clone of Will Smith, but younger.
Yeah, that was
So
weird.
there's going to be 90% of it's going to be CGI.
They should have stopped animation at Shrek. That was the peak, I think.
That's always your go back, hey?
Can't get better than Shrek, man.
Yeah, Shrek was pretty good for
right?
animation. Like great, actually.
Beautiful film.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like there's been a lot of really cool animation since
Okay,
then.
stop
but-
at Shrek 2.
Yeah, okay.
Shrek 2 was okay.
Yeah, Shrek 3 felt weird.
Yeah.
Didn't it?
Is there a fourth one too?
Yeah, I got weird vibes after 2.
I don't think I watched the new ones.
Yeah, no, Shrek is just a good movie.
Actually, the first and only time I went to a drive-in movie theater was for Shrek 2, I think.
So
You were there, weren't you? Do you remember that?
I remember
We went
going to a
with,
drive-through a few times, but
The hell was
it was Phil.
it Shrek though? It was I know it was Harry Potter, but
We went
was it
to
Shrek
another
2?
one. I don't remember what was all playing, but
me and Raf started watching Shrek on New Year's Eve, so that as soon as midnight came, Smash Mouth started playing.
perfect.
It was
Great.
beautiful. As soon as midnight came around, so
That's a
Beautiful.
banger song though. Like really,
it was incredible.
That's a terrible Smash Mouth impression.
I'm not going to do it in the mic. I don't want to peak it. I'm already close enough because I'm too lazy to move. So I have to have it really close to my mouth.
So, what were you guys' thoughts on Gemini Man?
Fucking Will Smith, man. Come on.
I think they should have just.
How do you feel like
Remade
Will
I Am
Smith is an
Legend.
actor, though? Like, in general?
Fantastic actor, but he should have stopped at Shrek.
See, I'm
depends.
very hit and miss.
Yeah, me too.
That was Chris Rock, he writes
It's
this.
so weird. Will Smith, he says like he's very vocal about like picking roles and movies. Mm-hmm. He doesn't do so many of them because he wants to do only really good ones.
Yeah, but then this one had Will Smith times 2, so he was
Yeah,
like,
he was
fucking-
probably like, yeah, I'm in.
Well, technically, I wonder, right, if he gets paid for both roles.
Fuck.
Well, he does, because he's playing both roles.
Right.
They're just CGIing his face to look younger.
So
in
he
the
gets
second
paid for
role.
one character, but also gets paid for the other character.
Well, because he has to voice over it anyways.
See, if I was an actor, I'd be, if I was like the main character, I'd also ask to be like 5 or 6 different extras.
Well,
And see if anyone noticed.
Maybe
it
that's
as
why they like the dudes from South Park just
But like,
did their
can
voices.
you
for
imagine
every single
noticing
one.
that as an Easter egg? Just watching a movie and the main character's talking, and then you also see the main character behind him just having a coffee. Hang on a minute.
That'd be fucking awesome.
But then you look around and you also see the main character driving 3 of the cars.
You just get like this guy that's doing this TV show Kenny's watching. That's like a
Chris Lilly.
yeah professional like fucking character actor. He just does every character in the
Yeah.
movie cut in.
You realize that all the extras are the same guy.
Yeah, different makeup on.
I'm just gonna say one last thing about Gemini Man. I just really hope Will Smith doesn't get paid on the back end of this movie because I don't think it's gonna make very much money.
I don't think it's going to be
I hope
great.
he got paid up front because even Alita Battle Angel like did pretty brutal
I
for the
feel like
special effects.
Action movies are really struggling now because
I don't know
you've
the-
got to go wild.
Well, also the special effects have to be good.
Yeah, you either have
You
to be
notice it now.
incredibly over the top, or you have to be just like incredibly realistic.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
even with like even like when you're talking over the top, there's that one where Matt Damon is like fighting the Chinese wall or whatever.
Yeah,
There's so
terrible.
many movies that are coming out that are big action blockbusters that they're trying to pitch that just have bad CGI that like isn't going to sell it. But then you have movies that are like John Wick, like they're coming out with a third one this year.
Yeah,
That's
And
why I like.
it's an unreal movie franchise.
It is. It's
and there's
so good.
no not really any special
but then
effects.
I feel like the difference with that is that he trained really fucking hard.
And that's what you need, though.
Yeah.
It's like even watching that movie, The Dirt. The only reason I can watch that movie is because they didn't have Machine Gun Kelly's face just like photoshopped onto a drummer's body while
Yeah.
that we were playing. Like he actually trained to learn the drums, and it's more believable. Like you want to see somebody actually doing
Yeah.
this stuff.
Yeah.
That's why
rather
I
than-
like these real life movies more than like. That's why I can't sit through so many action movies. It's
the
so hard for me.
The guitarist in that, the one with like the bone disease, fucking phenomenal actor. He was in a show called Misfits. Have you ever seen Misfits?
I haven't seen it. I think I watched the first episode like years ago when I got through Skins. I watched Skins, but
Misfits is probably, if not the best, definitely one of the best TV series that I've ever seen in my life.
have you seen Skins?
No, because I wasn't an angsty teenager at the same time as everyone else.
Right. I would recommend, especially like since it's like a back home show, I would recommend you maybe check that one out.
Nah, I can't stand it because it reminds me of all the rich kids that would throw like parties and shit and get cunted, you know.
Yeah, that's fair. It's
The
a good
ones
show.
that
though.
wouldn't hang out with you.
While most of them were getting absolutely twatted and fingering each other behind bike sheds, I was still playing RuneScape. So there's that.
I would say though that show is one of my favorite UK TV shows
That's
that I've
fair.
watched. But yeah, Misfits was one that, which is weird because that's a superhero show too, isn't it?
It is, yeah, but it's
But they're like they're like juvie kids.
it's super unconventional because they are not good people.
Yeah. Yeah, so the last trailer, I just wanted to mention it quick. I wanted to show Kyle this trailer because next week we're watching Hard Ticket to Hawaii, but the week after we're going to be watching Hereditary. So I wanted to show you guys the trailer for Ari Aster's new movie that's coming out called Midsummer. So Kyle, after seeing that trailer, well, what were your thoughts on that trailer first?
It looked kind of creepy. I liked how everything was very light. They weren't trying to hide everything, which is one of my favorite things to do for horror movies.
Did you notice how in the trailer they didn't actually show anything scary?
Nothing.
But I still felt a little bit like
eerie because
I don't like this.
Yeah. Well, it was kind of like cult-ish.
Yeah, super
right
cult-y.
vibe. So, which I think that's what it's supposed to be, and always makes you question what the fuck's going on.
Yeah, man.
Interesting.
What do you think?
I was bored. It's one of the most boring trailers I've ever seen. It's just people's faces straight on shot with Instagram filters.
I don't think you like horror movies.
Really?
When I watched
let's take a look at my
when I watched
collection.
that trailer, it made me want to see more because it
showed you nothing.
I felt uneasy. No, but I felt uneasy, and I wanted to see more of what was actually behind the closed doors there.
Yeah, man.
Well, I feel like you'll probably like Hereditary then, because I hated Hereditary, and that trailer did nothing for me. But if you're excited for that, then all right, well, that's cool. Maybe I'll make you guys watch The Sacrament one day, and then you can watch an actual badass cult horror movie. Have you seen that one?
I've never heard of The Sacrament.
It's about what's his name? He's that cult leader Jim Jones from the 70s.
Oh, the Kool-Aid guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jimmy. It's basically like a rough version, rough telling of that.
It's a found footage one, right?
It's supposed to be like a found footage one.
Yeah, I think I may have seen some of that.
It's like a really rough version, but they couldn't call him Jim Jones and stuff because there's some legal issues. But yeah, that one
There's
is
a video
cool.
of his speech.
Yeah, I've seen it, heard it. Not seen it, heard it, I should say.
Like, analyzed the recording of it. And there's this, like, growling behind his voice. It's fucking weird. I'll try and find, like, the audio recording, but there's, like, something else talking at the same time as him. It's fucked, man.
Yeah, there's, like, children wailing, mothers wailing, trying to get their kids to drink the Kool-Aid, too. It's such a sad moment in history.
But I guarantee you something like that will probably happen again.
Yeah, well, it's going to happen in Midsummer. That's going to be the plot twist, is that it's a cult and it happens. And
I don't think that's going to be a plot twist. I think they've shown that it's a cult already.
No, I know, but the plot twist will be something stupid where it's like a suicide pact will be the quote-unquote plot twist for another deity. I'm just going to leave it at that because I don't want to hint at anything else. But yeah, we'll see how that one turns out. Maybe we'll go see that one if you guys are really wanting to watch that one.
No, we don't have to.
I'll probably
have to
be
watch
pretty...
anything you don't want to watch. If anyone says they don't want to watch it, we won't fucking watch it.
Yeah, I feel like if we're going to watch a movie, it's got to be a unanimous decision.
Yeah.
All right, well...
Do we got to watch this?
I'm making you guys watch Hard Ticket to Hawaii next week, wanting to watch it or not. So, yeah, we're going to go watch Midnight Meat Train, and then we'll be back. See you in a bit. Leon is a vegan photographer who loves a good mystery. Mahogany is a shy, sharp-dressed butcher who loves to make new friends. Can the two men find common ground on the 2 a.m. meat train? Or is this blooming friendship bound to go off the rails? Find out on Midnight Meat Train, now streaming with Mandarin subtitles on YouTube for free viewing. Go ahead and check that out if you think that sounds okay.
Wow, you're really creative.
As if you put music.
We just got back from watching Midnight Meat Train, semi-properly, appropriately titled movie, but the one thing I did notice that did bother me every single time I saw it was that the train left the station at 2:06 a.m. every single time. It never once left at midnight, and that drove me fucking nuts.
That's fair.
The entire movie. So we are talking about Midnight Meat Train. I didn't dive into it. Normally I dive into it a little bit before we get in too far, but Midnight Meat Train was made in 2008. It is rated R, if you guys haven't guessed already by watching that. Starring Bradley Cooper. Directed by Ryuhei Kitamura, who also did a movie that I really like that is very similar in tone, but a lot more watchable, called No One Lives. I might bust that out for the podcast
I have seen
one
that.
day.
It is very good.
There's some really cool scenes in it.
Yeah, that is a very good movie.
Let me just say there's a human nesting doll scene that I thought was pretty cool. The writer for this movie, there was a screenplay written by Jeff Bueller, who also did the Pet Sematary remake screenplay. Surprise, surprise. And the short story was by the infamous writer Clive Barker, who also created the Hellraiser series, which explains the twist ending of this movie. The normal synopsis for this movie is a photographer's obsessive pursuit with a dark subject matter leads him into the path of a serial killer who stalks late-night commuters, ultimately butchering them in the most gruesome ways imaginable. But Patrick has an even better summary for listeners.
Yeah, I think I might.
Let's hear your summary.
Okay, so a failed photographer turned stalker stalks the streets of Manhattan trying to find his next victim. He stumbles across Meaty Martin, the train-taking, head-smashing, scabby-chest maniac whose sole mission is to sacrifice commuters to the god of mild inconveniences and uncomfortable seating arrangements. We never truly understand why he collects his chest scabs. It's a bit like keeping a jar of pubes or earwax. There's sentiment in there somewhere, but no one else ever will see it. The stalker goes a bit mental and does the usual weird spider web thing with some photos whilst trying to convince his girlfriend that he's not mental, but she also seems mental because he starts taking photos of her getting naked whilst they both cry, which does nothing for her self-esteem. The stalking gets
It's like that woman that you walked in on at the fucking pub.
Yeah, well, never mind that. The stalking gets flipped around and Meaty Martin gets a cheeky look at the stalker's life, but then also gets followed back by the stalker, so the stalker is now stalking the stalker's stalker. Let's just roll with that. Meaty Martin then makes the stalker little meaty, so the responsibility is passed on. Not really worth it, to be honest. Minimum wage, chest scabs, an insane amount of admin for one person to do every night, and very little vacation. Also, the original stalker was vegetarian but now eats meat, so that probably fits into the story somewhere. Don't really care.
Yeah, that's a pretty accurate description of this movie. So Midnight Meat Train had a budget of $15 million.
Jesus.
Estimated. You guys want to guess how much money it grossed?
No.
9.
9 million? Kyle, you want to take a guess?
Nope.
A budget of $15 million, a gross of $83,000 North America.
Ooh.
US and Canada combined, baby.
Ooh. What was the total?
3.5 million worldwide.
Oh,
A $15 million movie.
fuck.
This movie on IMDb has a 6.1 out of 10 rating, 72% on Rotten Tomatoes, and 75% of Google users liked this movie.
Wow.
So, Patrick,
What if the movie came out on the same weekend?
I think normally we do pre-show questions, but I'm going to say me and Kyle have not seen this movie until today, and I know Patrick has previously. Mm-hmm. Upon your first viewing of this movie, what were your thoughts compared to now?
Upon my first viewing, I thought it was fucking hilarious. And on my second viewing, I also thought it was fucking hilarious.
So not much has changed
No.
for you. Well, that's good. We'll jump into that hilarity a little bit here. But the main question for both of you guys is, do either of you regret watching this movie?
No.
Ah.
No. I will say I regret watching the first 90 minutes of this movie, or however fucking long. That the last 25 minutes make this movie worth watching, in my opinion. Okay, so Patrick, second movie viewing, what would you rate this on a 1 to 5?
I think I was a bit drunk on my first viewing. So originally I'd have probably given it like a 3.5.
Okay.
But then this time I probably would have given it like a 2. So I'm around it to like a 3.
Okay. That's a fair score. Kyle, what about you? Do you want to bust open your rubric to do your referencing? You can, because
I'm sitting around a 3 also, because it wasn't horrible.
See,
There's just a lot of things about it that bothered me.
There's a lot of things that are going to bother you. And the second time you watch it, if you ever do watch again for whatever fucking reason, there'll be more stuff that bothers you, and then more stuff and more stuff.
You know, it's not a movie that you would have any need to watch a second time.
You could have watched the last 15 minutes of that movie and been like, oh, yeah, fair enough. That adds up.
Yeah, I kind of saw where it was going halfway through. So
Yeah. I'll tell you the truth. I actually thought the movie was going to end about probably 75 minutes in. I thought that was it. I thought we were done. I was like, oh, fuck, this went by really nicely. That's good. But then there was like an extra 45 minutes left. And I was like, fuck me. Don't remember all this garbage.
yeah, oh man, the beginning half of this movie drags.
yeah.
It's terrible.
For me, like, it's really hard for me to judge this movie or rate it because I think the last 20 minutes
All right.
is a solid, I'm going to say 4 out of 5 for me, the last 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But the beginning 3/4 of it is like a 1, maybe.
There was a lot of
So you'd also be
pointless
sitting
scenes.
at like a 2.5 or...
I want to say that there's virtually no redeeming qualities to this movie except for the ending. The characters aren't likable. The story's not interesting.
The movie's not likable.
Nobody's there's nothing about this movie that makes it worth like what's the point of introducing all the photography shit if it's like it's not, I don't know, man.
Completely irrelevant.
It kind of gets under my skin a little bit. Like I'm kind of having the same reaction I had to Balls of Fury a little bit, but the difference is it had a redeeming ending.
It did have a
So
redeeming
I'm like,
ending.
I'm really struggling with this right now. I don't regret watching it. I think I'm gonna have to just give it a 2.5. Like it's got to be right in the middle because
That's
the
fair.
latter half is so good that the first half I kind of just have to pretend I didn't watch it just to even it out. So 2.5 for me, 3 for Kyle, and 3 for Patrick. I guess is where we're sitting with this movie.
Say about that. Yeah.
Would you guys recommend this movie to anybody?
Absolutely not. When you said we were going to watch it, I was like, "Are you sure?" Because
I wouldn't recommend it to anyone. I would tell people about the ending of it.
I would wish people luck if they said they were going to watch it.
Yeah, I feel like the ending is something that should have almost been done as like a short film or something on its own.
Yeah.
I feel like you could have walked into it and been like, okay, this guy's a mysterious dude, and went from there. Like, you don't have to have the photographer going about like trying to get more pictures. Like, if it was just a guy taking pictures on the subway and he noticed this weird dude go into the back car doing weird shit, I would have been all in. I would have watched this guy take pictures and watch this guy go car to car, like strategically doing weird shit.
You know what would have been a cool twist on this is if instead of being a photographer, he was like
A porn star.
No, he was like a rookie cop, and then fucking
And this was his first case.
yeah, and then they're
Just
like,
so out of his
and
depth.
all the other cops are like,
Well,
don't look into it, and like putting him in wrong directions and shit.
Yeah,
in a sense,
you
he
know?
was kind of putting himself in the position of a rookie cop, though, because he was investigating like missing persons that he shouldn't have been
But the
investigating.
cops were in on it and told him like, don't worry about it. You know what I
he was
mean?
Trying to be like a bit of a vigilante.
So who do we?
So
all,
it
do we
doesn't
think
make
it's-
sense.
Do we
If the
think it's
cops-
like a broader conspiracy then, or what
I
was
think
that
that's what
there?
it's supposed to be.
because
Yeah,
the cops were involved.
it's supposed to say
Like the
like
cop that took his camera, for
it's
instance.
supposed to
Is that what you're referencing?
It's supposed to say people disappear and and then you find out at the end of the movie people are disappearing to keep fucking worlds like
So-
two worlds
Yeah.
apart. You know,
When Patrick mentioned, there's a scene in the movie where the guy's like, this girl went missing. I have pictures of her. I need to find out what happened to her. And his girlfriend is basically just like, People go missing all the time. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I felt when you pointed that out to me, Patrick, that's a weird reaction to that. I felt like maybe she's in on something here.
Yeah, I did too when
Yeah, maybe.
but she
But
wasn't.
she ended up
See,
in the wrong
what I
place
do
at the wrong
like
time,
is that
I guess.
I feel like both of you guys safely assumed that the good guys would win.
Well, so my thing is I actually previously listened to a podcast similar to this by some guys at Erie International. They're another podcast. They did a Midnight Meat Train one, and I listened to it, and they were talking about the twist ending, and I looked into it, and I was pretty stoked on it. So when this movie was recommended, if I'd just looked at it at face value, I probably would have been more hesitant jumping into this as a listener pick. But because I knew the twist ending is so batshit crazy from what I've been reading, I was all in on this and watching it. But like I said, the fucking first 3/4 of this was a fucking slag, man.
I do remember the first time watching it, the initial response I had to the ending was, wait, fucking what?
Sleepaway Camp all over again.
What are these things? Where have they come from? Who are these boys?
So is that supposed to be like the underworld?
Oh, no, it's like those creatures have existed before mankind.
Yeah.
But then when humans came along, they started eating them, I assume. So a certain group of people decided to form an organization to keep them at bay, keep them happy.
Underground.
See, the way I took it was like a satanic cult that was like a secret society that just fed humans to demons.
No,
That's the way I took
It's
it.
their responsibility to keep the demons away from the rest of humanity.
Yeah.
If they didn't do what they did with the train, they would go to the surface and hunt.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So why was Bradley Cooper exempt? Was it just because of the random ass marking he got on him? And also, how did he get that random ass
No,
marking?
they picked him.
That was the when he was like
When he was unconscious and hanging, and then they were
Scratching
going to
him.
feast on him, but they scratched that
Yeah.
design into him. So,
so
does
I
that?
think because he was fighting the guy,
Yeah.
they decided to mark him as like the subordinate.
So they're
almost.
sentient enough to know,
Yeah.
as long as these people keep bringing us food, we have a deal. So they have a fucking understanding that.
I think the ending was supposed to be because he said this guy was getting too weak to do it anymore.
Yeah.
I think the ending was supposed to be either this guy's going to prove he's still ready to do this by killing you, or you're going to kill him.
Yeah.
And take over his job.
That's just how they find. I feel like it's just a natural circle.
Yeah.
And why did he say, "Take this, welcome," and didn't give him anything? He just
I think
said,
he
"Take
did
this."
give him probably the hammer.
Like
or
if it
something,
would have
but you
shown
didn't
that he
see it.
gave him his ring or something, it would have been different. But it literally didn't. It just showed his face, and he said, "Take this,"
Yeah.
and then he sat there for a moment, and then he said, "Welcome," and then he got
Probably
stabbed
for
through the head.
Interpretation.
Yeah, I didn't catch that, honestly. I was zoning out at that point.
It was you wouldn't have
That's
caught
fair.
it without the subtitles, honestly.
Yeah, subtitles were very helpful.
And those were his only lines in the movie, I think, too.
They were,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So before we dive much further in this, I guess we pretty much already spoiled it. So if you didn't want that spoiled, well,
Fuck you, I guess.
we were probably vague enough that you could probably watch it and maybe still.
Well, no, I feel
Skip
like
to the end.
if you realised that there were spoilers, you could probably still watch the first 40 minutes of this movie and think, am I watching the right thing?
Yeah. Well,
It's a love movie. Eh?
Yeah.
when I was looking for this, I started playing a movie that was titled Midnight Meat Train, but when it actually kicked on, it just said Train. And it's a completely different movie, but it was saying something that it's similar to Hostel and shit. So I don't know what the hell that was, but
Interesting.
yeah, I
also
almost watched the wrong movie.
Found a different movie called Midnight Meat Train, but that was, yeah, that's not something you guys should watch.
Yeah, starring Ron Jeremy. Yeah. So we're going to read some user reviews from IMDb, as we do every week, and then we'll jump onto some trivia and talk about some more stuff from this movie that we did and didn't like. But for now, let's go to Kyle. I think you have the one
Yeah.
for the first review.
I'm going to try and read it.
I hope so.
All right. This one's from Rob Backman in May 2009.
So just after this movie came out.
Yeah. It's a 1 out of 10. It's a long one, longish. All right, it says, by far the worst movie I've ever seen. I'm a big fan of Vinnie Jones, and usually I watch any movie he is in. From this point forward, I will no longer even look at him the same. This is the worst movie I've ever seen, possibly in my entire life. There's absolutely no point, no plot, and no excitement. Here is the movie in a nutshell. Guy slaughters people for no reason on a train. That is it. They give some outrageously stupid storyline in the end, but it makes no sense. There is no mystery, nothing. Usually in a thriller, there's some suspense in the movie somewhere, but there is literally phase 1 equals guy on train, phase 2 guy slashes guy on train, phase 3 guy is dead on a meat hook. Wow, how exciting.
I love that you're reading this monotone as well. It just pays off with that. Wow.
Don't watch this movie unless you plan on sending an invoice to the person who makes you watch it. Yes, it is really that bad.
Wait, we can do that.
Well, it was free on YouTube, so
I gotta say, he says, there's no mystery. Oh, he says there's usually in a thriller there's some suspense in the movie somewhere. Well, the part where he was in the meat factory, running around in there,
you found that suspenseful?
a little bit. Like I knew he was gonna get caught, but he got away there. I thought he was just gonna get fucking slaughtered right there. But
Yeah, I mean they did try a little bit.
Yeah.
I got to give them credit for some of the scenes. Some of the scenes I did like even the scene where he's going through the subway tunnel and he sees the girl get on the train and stuff. Honestly, my biggest issue with this is the girlfriend and all of the scenes involving her and anything that ties them together. If they cut all of that
just
out,
not a great actor, I don't
No.
think. Everything I've seen her in, her part's always just been that blonde girl.
so for me, like if it started up, it opened up with Bradley. If he talked to a person and they said you just need a few more shots,
if
he did the art show and it shows him going into the subway, seeing those guys like attempting to assault this girl, and then he takes the pictures and follows her onto the train and then sees her get murdered, and then it just goes from there where he follows this guy through the train. And then it ends up at that stop.
If
Like
the
if
dude
it was
would've
that
been-
quick, point A to point B, and there was enough mystery and suspense in the actual train, where maybe this guy like murdered some girl and like he's murdering people train to train and just dragging them all back.
Yeah.
Like that would be way more suspenseful than him like following this dude for a week and a half. Just trying to figure out what happened.
I think they could have just completely cut that girl out of the movie and just had him be a single guy that was obsessed with his photography.
Yeah, man.
Like
you know, and it would have been way better.
Like what they said when he was meeting up with the art lady for the first time, where he was like, she only likes single men who do photography.
Yeah.
It's like, I think everybody watching this movie would agree that if he was just a single guy doing that really quickly, it would have been fine.
And you wouldn't have had to have that pointless scene of him saying that.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't have had to have the pointless scene of him also going to the diner where his girlfriend works and handing the guy tofu that he brought with him to get cooked for his
I
breakfast.
have no idea why they decided to make that a point.
Honestly,
like,
I think
he's a vegetarian.
I think
until
someone
he starts getting surrounded by meat, and then he likes meat.
I think someone just had an idea for this movie, like, wow, a bunch of people go missing on trains at night, and they were like, we could probably make something out of that.
Yeah, where do they go?
Well,
Yeah.
I
And then
tried
fill in the blanks.
I tried writing an actual summary for this, but instead I thought my other approach was going to be more funny. But the summary I wrote basically was Midnight Meat Train is the meat eater versus vegan we've all been waiting for since the guy who was chowing down on a pig's face in front of the PETA protest. Because that's essentially what this was like a vegan versus a butcher for the first like half of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that guy?
And then
on the
he
Greyhound?
randomly decides to eat steak.
Did
Yeah.
Did you ever hear about that?
What?
The dude on the Greyhound bus
No?
in Saskatchewan?
No, what do you do?
It was Manitoba.
Was it Manitoba? It was coming from Saskatchewan though, wasn't it?
I think his name was like Vince Lee or something.
He just got
weird.
out not too long ago.
He was this guy. He was on a Greyhound bus. They don't exist here anymore. But you know what a Greyhound is, right, Patrick?
Yeah.
He was on
He
the
beheaded a passenger.
And
You just
all the
looked it up?
passengers,
Yeah.
all the passengers got off, and they had to lock him in the bus and wait for police to show up. And the guy was eating the dude's head and face. People were watching him do this from the outside of the bus, and they had to like hold him on the bus until the cops could show up and detain him. So what happened is this guy had a severe psychotic break while he was on the bus. He's like a super paranoid schizophrenic. He had a really bad like mental fit, and I guess they put him in treatment. This is how the Canadian justice system works: is they put him in treatment, and he was in there for I think like 6 or 8 years. They got him on
think it was that
medication,
long.
and the medication worked, and now he's out walking free. So a few years ago,
how
he
did
murdered.
He behead someone. Like, what did he?
Oh, he
use?
had a knife or something on the bus. He brought something with him.
Didn't they say he ripped it off?
He like tore the guy's head off, and he started eating it in front of all these
we
people.
should
And now
we should
he's-
look into this more and talk about it because I feel like we're speculating some shit that we don't know.
Well,
but
but,
Yeah,
but
sure.
yeah,
I'm just
that's
getting
the
a-
general
about that, for
of
sure.
it.
But yeah, so that's the 2 a.m. meet Greyhound. But
Yeah.
back to midnight.
More
meet
like
train,
more like afternoon meet Greyhound.
where you be heading.
Yeah.
That's their slogan. You get it? You get
God damn, man.
Get it? Okay. So Patrick, you got the 5 out of 10 review there, my friend.
Yep.
If you wouldn't mind reading that.
Hang on, let me pull it up.
Or try to.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is from someone called Alien Worlds from June 2010. A fairly horrible movie, which is exactly what anyone would think it is anyway. Based on a short story by Clive Barker and turned into an amazingly gory gut bucket of a movie. Did I hate it? A bit, in fact. The ending pretty much sucked the big one, actually. Good plot development, though, up to the point the first gallon of blood was spilled, which took about 6 seconds. You really cannot legitimately complain about society's mentally being dumb when this movie is what you get when you want to see a scary movie. This film was approved, no problem, and it's not something you'd want a 13-year-old to see. If it's out there, they'll see it. Forget about them acting out those scenes, that probably won't happen, but they will get nightmares. Lots of them. Gave me nightmares too. Brother, where are you bound? What the fuck? Where are you finding this garbage?
So
That's
this
all
guy
I
liked
did.
everything we didn't.
So let me just say too, if anybody's feeling upset that this movie got made, let me just remind you, it cost $15 million to make, but only made $83,000 back. So you can find a little bit of solace in that, I suppose. Thank God Bradley Cooper went on to be Rocket Raccoon and in the Hangover franchise. So at least he's got that going for him.
Yeah.
Jesus.
This last review that we have, aside from our own, is from Drama 59, which means
Shut up.
This was
Drama 69 was taken.
This was posted January 2010. It's a 10 out of 10, and it's just titled Wild Ride. With a title like Midnight Meat Train, you might want to run, and that is only because you know that it is a stupid horror movie is on its way. Stop. It is a great horror movie. Bradley Cooper is great as our quote-unquote hero. The movie has a great cast, including a lovely Brooke Shields. This is a non-stop ride with gore galore. It keeps you asking, what is going on? I mean, I agree with him there. It is full of suspense and, of course, the ultimate blood and guts.
I just want to point out that Brooke Shields isn't the girlfriend.
No, Brooke Shields is the art person. She's literally she literally has one scene in the movie.
Oh, that's so brutal.
It keeps you on the edge of your seat and makes you keep watching. I was thrilled with the movie, and there are very few great horror movies out there. Midnight Meat Train is one to watch. If you want to see murders occur and not just some camera flash and use your imagination, then go for this movie. I give it 2 thumbs up, a wild ride of suspense and horror.
I feel like the murder scenes in this were horrible.
Yeah, I mean, I got to give it props on the practical effects. The practical effects are some of my favorite parts of this movie. Just the bodies, the fake bodies they were using. Even when he slapped the dude in the face with the severed limb, it was like exactly what I imagined somebody slapping someone with a severed limb would be like. It
Weird
was
thing
like
to imagine.
it was like you know what I mean? Like it was like rubbery enough,
Yeah, no,
but like
There was some like hits with that fucking hammer where usually the camera would have like panned away, and you just see the person's reaction, but like they fully showed it.
I liked the brutality, but anything that was like CGI'd seemed to be where it fell off for all of us, I would say, because it was so cheesy.
Yeah, especially when Will Smith's younger self came on. I didn't,
no,
didn't
Patrick,
appreciate.
that was the trailer we watched. Before.
Yeah, of course.
You're getting it mixed up.
I apologize.
But yeah, my favorite thing about The Matrix. No, I'm just kidding. I definitely have to say that, like, even some of the slashes and stuff that are done with the practical effects bodies were brutal. Like the one scene where Mahogany, our main villain, is falling out of the train, and to catch himself, he just stabs his knife into one of the bodies hanging.
Yeah.
And you see it go in, and it, like, you can see the skin kind of tear. And like, it just like made me cringe seeing that.
Yeah, there were definitely some parts where I was like, oof.
But that's because they used like practical effects. They used rubber bodies.
That's where most of the budget went.
And that's what I'm saying is like that part of the movie needs to be seen. But the special effects, like where the blood is like basically turns into a mirror and you see the guy's face looking down at the blood, like you don't need that where the eyeballs pop out.
Yeah.
If like where he pulls them out of the head, that's a different story.
You know what it felt like? It felt like those scenes were, you know, when you can tell that a movie was made to be watched in 3D.
Yeah.
But that sort of shit didn't exist, really.
Yeah, I don't think that was shot in 3D. I think, like Kyle mentioned a few times, this one was almost trying to be a little bit too artsy with the camera shots.
Was
for
very
being
artsy.
Just a gratuitous movie. But you and me have both seen No One Lives. So I kind of get it watching this.
I just want to... that's the one, like, it's in a police station, right? In England?
No. I don't think so.
I need to Google it because I'm wondering
this
if there's
movie,
two of them.
one way they could have made it better is get rid of the girl, or I guess not one way, but how they could have made it better is if they got rid of the girl, and instead of doing it all artsy, if they would have taken it as like a point of view from Bradley Cooper for like the shooting of the film, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kind of like you're catching someone doing this crazy shit.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. I've only seen one movie that's done something like that effectively. And do you guys know the movie Maniac? There was one in the 70s that was pretty... It's well known for being just like cheesy and weird and stuff. It's like a cult film.
Does it have Vince Vaughn in it?
No, there was a remake with Elijah Wood as the main character, and it's shot in first person from Elijah Wood's
didn't that
perspective.
just come out?
It was like a few years ago. He ends up being a serial killer who basically murders people and falls in love with their corpses, and like it's really sick and twisted.
So like Jeffrey Dahmer.
He like works in a mannequin factory. Yeah, it's really sick and twisted, but
that's
the
that's
reason
got to be based off Jeffrey Dahmer, because didn't he like...
Well, it was like the original was in the 70s, so it was based off the original. I don't think it was based off of Dahmer specifically. I think it was just
he like collected mannequins and shit too.
Well, there was lots. There was Ed Gein who did shit too, where he dug up bodies and made belts out of nipples and stuff. Like, there's a lot of sick fucks out there, but...
I have not seen No One Lives. I was thinking of a different movie.
So No One Lives will be another one that we'll get to eventually, because that one is fucking crazy. But it's crazy like from the get-go, and it's like there's no pointless love scenes. If anything, it's like from the start it's uncomfortable, because I believe that movie starts off with him kidnapping someone, unless I'm thinking of a different movie. But it's pretty fucked up.
You know, just like movies like this, I just wonder... Like there is I understand the story of it, and like it could be a good movie, and I think like when people make the final cut and they watch this, why doesn't anyone just say, no, that's not it, Chief? Let's try again. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, even with the script, but I think the issue with that is they spent all their money paying that actress to be in the movie. So trying to recut it to make sense after they've already shot it and stuff. The other issue I'm going to point out here is something that we had the same issue with in Pet Sematary, is probably script faults. And the funny part is the guy who wrote the script for the Pet Sematary remake wrote this script as well. like the screenplay.
Someday he'll get it.
So I'm just saying, this guy's got to learn to trim the fat if he wants to make an effective horror movie. Because I have no doubts that Clive Barker probably wrote an amazing story. That dude is like a horror icon because he just comes up with like visually like detailed depictions of hell, basically. Like, if you've seen the Hellraiser movies, you know exactly what he's going for. Yeah. Which is crazy when you see something like Hellraiser and you translate it to this movie. I feel like the director kind of had an idea what he was doing, but it's just all that extra bullshit that they fit in that takes everybody away from it.
True. I was thinking of a movie called Let Us Pray.
Oh, I think I've seen that one too, actually. Yeah. I'll have to look that up. But,
I don't know why I got them mixed up. But
yeah, No One Lives is another one that's pretty crazy. If you did like this movie, I would suggest going to watch No One Lives because it's basically the last half of this movie, but for an entire film. So that's a fun watch as well. But yeah, I don't know what else you guys want to talk about this movie. I feel like we said it all.
Yeah, if you want to watch it, but you don't have that much time, just watch the last bit.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. I mean, if you don't mind the Mandarin subtitles, you could throw it on.
Yeah. It wasn't bad for our first listener.
Yeah. I mean, I'm always happy to watch movies I haven't seen before.
Yeah.
So if you do have more suggestions, just keep them coming. Like I love bad movies, and this movie wasn't necessarily a bad movie.
It had bad parts. It had good bones, but real bad.
I feel like we should give listeners the opportunity to veto a movie as well.
Well, you can't go on and make some fake Instagram accounts just because you don't want to watch the Fast and the Furious quadrilogy with me. I mean.
Like, if someone gives us a solid movie that's easy to find.
The thing is like, if somebody gave us a movie and they really wanted us to do it, I wouldn't mind pushing it ahead of all the other movies we have planned. I wouldn't say vetoing, completely.
Yeah, but, get it done soon.
Like, I don't mind doing that. It's just we don't have many listeners.
Exactly. Which is why we can probably do it.
And if we did that, it would be like every week we'd be getting different movies from my mom, and she'd be vetoing every fucking thing, and we'd be watching Basketball Diaries every week.
Everyone gets one.
Yeah, so next week
you had some trivia for this, no?
Oh yeah, we did have trivia.
Yeah,
let's talk about that, and then we'll talk about the movie that we're gonna watch next week, which I'm excited for. Okay, so the trivia we got here, maybe I'll start this one off, and then
let's just go around.
In its official North American release, the film opened in $102 discount theaters, also called 102. I don't know. Whoever wrote this is an idiot. Called dollar theaters for their very low admission prices, rather than a regular first-run cinema with normal ticket prices, which was a factor in its poor opening weekend box office earnings. So yeah, they basically went straight to Rainbow Cinemas, essentially.
So Rainbow Cinemas is what, like?
It's $4 regular, $2 on.
So that's probably why.
It made, I think I said 84,000?
87, I think.
83,000.
We were both wrong. That's probably why it made such a low budget too, off the beginning.
You mean
if that was at a theater where they're charging $10-15 a ticket?
So even if they charged $15 a ticket at that rate, they still would have only made 311,000.
Yeah. So I don't think many people were running out to see that.
That's so brutal.
Which is like fine. I mean, a lot of people aren't running out to see Hellboy, which is probably going to cost a lot more to make than this movie.
Apparently,
did.
that is super garbage.
That's what I've been hearing.
Yeah.
So,
and this actually has good ratings on a lot of
weirdly
stuff. So
well, it's because of the ending, right?
Yeah,
like the ending, like I said, the ending is a solid movie.
It's all watchable. You can make it through the movie. There wasn't. I mean, it was. There was weird parts. There's weird parts, but it's like it was still watchable to me.
Yeah, it was watchable.
I was still trying to figure it out.
I think I read one of your guys' trivia things because I have them all on my list, but I'm not sure.
Wait, I'll go next.
Do either of you guys have the In Its North America release, official North America?
Nope.
Okay, then I think we're good. Then it was supposed to be me, Kyle Patrick, so I did all right.
All right. Lionsgate had recently hired executive Joseph Drake when the film was completing production. Drake greatly disliked this film and decided to give it a limited theatrical run in budget cinemas. So, same thing Kenny said. But
Kind of. The idea there is that Lionsgate, the people who produced this film, had a guy come in as they were about to release this movie, and he was like, oh, it's an R-rated fucking gore fest. I don't want to actually put this out. So before he came in, they probably had it lined up to go in a wide theatrical release.
Fair.
But this guy just pulled the plug and sent it to basically the shit house.
which was kind of smart.
So I've got, thanks to lackluster US box office results, many of the film's foreign distributors decided to send it straight to DVD in their native countries.
Which is another contributing factor to the actual
And this,
worldwide grossing.
I just got to read the second one that I have, because it was apparently meant to be a sequel to Candyman from 1992. Fucking hell!
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, that's why I included that here.
The fucking hook bit, guaranteed.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I haven't seen the 1992 Candyman.
I've seen one scene, and it's the man with a hook.
So
Is it maybe that like
Wait. Is Bill Cosby the Candyman?
no.
Are
No,
you
it's
sure?
I'm
No,
that
it's
I'm
the,
positive about.
It's the guy from.
I haven't seen
It's younger Will Smith.
I haven't seen Candyman, but is it maybe something to do with they're showing or trying to say in Candyman
I
that
think
they
the
were
idea
taking
is
the bodies for these things too?
well, I think the idea is that it's another like demonic hell being monster that's killing people. But yeah. Clive Barker provided some of the paintings seen in Susan Hoff's art gallery, which is basically the only reason I added this on was because there's not that many good trivia facts. But Clive Barker's got some pretty cool artwork too. If you're interested in seeing some cool hellish artwork, look up his stuff. And then I guess Kyle will have the last trivia fact for the night.
Is it
The mahogany. Yeah.
Is how you say his name?
Yep.
So Mahogany, which is Vinnie Jones, has no lines in the whole film apart from one word at the end, which is more than one word, and we already talked about that.
Yeah. So, how did you guys feel about Vinnie Jones's character? Because the whole time I watched it, I was just like,
It was the perfect character for
He
Vinnie
was
Jones
very
to play.
shy. He didn't talk a lot.
It was the perfect character for Vinnie Jones to play for an American audience.
Because the whole time I watched it, I was just like, is that Dave Bautista? Is that Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy? Like, he looks like so similar.
Doesn't.
He does. He looks like a British Drax,
He
buddy.
looks nothing like him.
I don't see it.
But yeah. So you're familiar with Vinnie Jones then? Is he British?
He's a fantastic actor.
What else has he been in?
He was in Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels,
Never seen it.
which is a fucking great movie.
We still got to watch Hobo with a Shotgun, speaking of weapons. Yeah.
And I think he was in Snatch as well, which is like a kind of a...
I think that's another porno. I think
it's
you're
the
getting
first-
Snatch and
the
Midnight
first
Meat
movie
Train.
in that series. I
He
think.
was in something else that
But yeah.
Euro Trip.
Oh yeah, he was the
He's
lad in the
the
Manchester
goo- yeah.
United guy. He was the
Yeah.
if you're a mank, you're a wank.
Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty much it for Midnight Meat Train, I guess.
Yeah, man.
Next week we're gonna watch Hard Ticket to Hawaii. It's a film by legendary filmmaker Andy Sedaris. I'll get into that a little bit next week. I'll just read you guys the back of this DVD so you guys know what
He
you're
was
in
also
for.
Juggernaut in X-Men.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna say Deadpool too, because that was like one of the best fucking
No.
reveals. Okay, so this is the summary for Hard Ticket to Hawaii, so you guys can get amped up for
I'm
next week.
excited.
Get ready for explosive action when four beautiful centerfolds team up with heartthrob Ron Moss in Andy Sedaris' Hard Ticket to Hawaii. Set among the stunning islands of Hawaii, Dawn Spear and Hope Marie Carlton star as two undercover federal agents running an inter-island cargo service. After accidentally freeing a killer mutant snake, the duo discovers a cache of diamonds that unleashes a smuggler's henchmen after them. Cynthia Brimhall and Patty Dufek co-star and jump to their aid along with Rowdy and Jade for a series of non-stop explosions, car chases, karate fights, and love scenes that will blow you away. So that's what we're in for next week. There's a few super legendary scenes in this. It's on par with Miami Connection and The Room for the legendary So Bad It's Good status. Some people will say it's even better. So this is one of those movies I've been wanting to see for a really long time. So I'm excited to watch it for the first time with you guys. And hopefully we will all love to hate it together.
Fair. Let's do it.
Do you guys got anything you want to plug before we get going?
No.
You guys can get in touch with us and follow us on social media on Twitter at Life with Kenny, Instagram at Life with Kenny Pod, or the Life with Kenny podcast on Facebook. Feel free to message us, comment, get involved with some conversations, and even just send us some movie recommendations. We're always in for those. But yeah, don't forget to favorite us, rate us, and subscribe us on your podcast app and social media. I have been noticing we have 5 or 6 ratings on iTunes now, which is awesome. So thank you guys for doing that. That actually helps.
If anyone
more
that isn't a
people see
close
us.
friend or family member of Kenny and Kyle's would also like to leave a review, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, it would be great if other people other than me and Kyle shared it, Patrick. Maybe that's how we reach other people other than just our friends and family.
I don't use social media, mate.
Yeah, a lot of people back home.
People could be
just,
listening to this,
you know,
where you're from.
Weird.
Yeah, no, I don't think they'd like you to.
All right, so signing off.
All those primary school kids that you used to be friends with could be listening.
They're all
to this.
drug addicts now, it's fine.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
it's okay. Drug addicts have phones.
So thanks for tuning in this week. Fuck Judge Reinhold, fuck primary school, and get a life.
Get some sleep, Vinny.
Get some sleep.
Love you, boss.